This episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Tattoo Pedge.
How you doing?
Tattoo Pedge, Pedge Tattoos, right?
Edge
How you doing?
tattoos, yeah.
How you doing,
How you
man?
doing? Good, good. Hanging in there, you know. Just
Oh, good.
celebrated my 55th birthday yesterday,
Yeah,
so
happy birthday, man.
thank you, man. Thank you. Every day above ground's a good day.
Yeah, or not in a prison cell, right?
Yeah, that for real. Yeah, yeah.
So, what was your earlier life like growing up? And where
Uh,
did you grow up for the people out there?
I grew up in Ridgewood, Queens. When I first came to the United States, we came to Bushwick, Brooklyn. Big immigrant neighborhood, a lot of Italians, Sicilians mostly predominantly, but a lot of Yugoslavian people. And when I say Yugoslavian, I'm saying as in like former Yugoslav Republic, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, Croatia, Slovenia, and Macedonia. So now the countries are so broken up. You got North Macedonia, South Macedonia, Kosovo. It's just a whole, it's a S show. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
it is what it is. But so we came to the United States in the early '70s. And from Bushwick, we moved to Ridgewood. I grew up in a really bad environment. My parents used to argue all the time. My dad was a alcoholic, sadistic. He used to beat my mom. Used to beat me. I don't like talking about that much, but to give you like a little bit of insight, it was just every holiday was waking up to like the furniture turned upside down. Things broken, candy dishes, plates flung around. And then, the family would come knock on the door to come in for, Christmas or Easter or whatever. And I couldn't open the door. I had to keep it with the chain. And they would see all the broken stuff in the background. My mom would have a big shine, a broken nose, teeth knocked out.
How old are
My
you
mom,
at this time?
yeah, my mom finally left my dad.
Are
And
you young? Young kid?
it's about 6, 7 when my parents got officially divorced. But I was 6 when my mom left my dad. So it was rough for me because I went from the neighborhood where everybody was Yugoslavian, and then all of a sudden she put me in a completely Italian neighborhood. I was Glendale, which was just like next town over. It was really horrendous for me. I was getting picked on every day. My name, because my real name is Predrag, so Pedge is the nickname from that. And Predrag, going through school, my last name Rajkovic. So it was just like pre-drag Rajkovic, and you go where I go, we all go. That was the joke. And I'd get hit, and 3 guys would jump me after school, and like I have to bring lunch money. You know the whole spiel.
Did you know
And
English at this point?
I did, but I just was like this nerdy kid. My mom dressed me the way European kids got. You just don't look like the norm. You know what I mean? There was so everybody was busting my balls because I'm my name and not being Italian, not being or German because there was a lot of Germans in the neighborhood. So it was just I got just picked on. It was relentless. My mom put me in karate. Year after, a little less than a year, and the same 3 bullies came to do what they had to do, and I broke the one kid's nose, got the other one in a chokehold, and
Yeah,
right
so
right in
you
front of the
used the
school.
karate. You
Oh
used it
yeah,
all.
man. I just the whole thing is just that first punch. So when I cracked this guy, split him right here. Guy went down like a sack of crap, and that was it. It was all over after that. The other guys kind of took off, and then every day, like it got better for me. So it got better. 4th grade got better. 5th grade got better. 6th grade, I was king of the hill. It was just I had the little Italian clique. I used to go to their houses. Nona, the grandmother, would come down and she'd be like, "Hey, you want a little soup?" And I'd come down, I eat soup, and then the corner basement, they had like that little summer kitchen, and all the guys would be in their wife beaters, the gold chain. They'd pull out a 20. A 20 was big deal back in the like '76. So
Yeah.
it gave me a 20 and be like, go to the store, get me a pack of smokes. That's when you could go like 11 years old and get a pack of smokes or 10.
Yeah.
And that's how I started, wanting to emulate these guys. And then my mom started dating a dude who was epitome of the word gangster, like come home, put this gun on the table, take me in the car, take me for rides, take me to Carmine Galante's place and like have me sit outside. And, I'm watching all of this, bad neighborhood stuff going on, but nobody would come near the car. They knew, don't get near that car. Big John, that's his nephew, whatever. So I got to see a lot of this stuff and, early childhood, you get mesmerized by that. So I got mesmerized by that. And he was also a black belt in Hapkido, and he taught me like dirty pool by throat punches, solar plexus shots, sweep the knee, take the knee out, whatever you could do dirty. It's just poke the eyes out, whatever you can find. If you've got a pencil in your hand, stab him, whatever.
Yeah.
Taught
Yeah.
me about bad stuff, and I started getting a reputation. I was alone a lot because my mom was working double shifts and triple shifts. And basically, I started boosting bikes. From boosting bikes, I would go like take the bike that I boosted, I'd go to a different neighborhood. So I was getting around a lot. Like I just literally, being 10, 11, 12 years old, I was just getting on the bike and going like 8 miles this way. I go 12 miles that way. So like I was all over the place. And I started boosting cars. People started knowing that I was willing to do anything. And I made a lot of friends, made a lot of connections, but it was always what's bigger, what's better to come, what can I do? And I don't know. It's been a weird. I call it a joyride because when you strap in and you buckle up, it's a ride,
Yeah.
and it's been a crazy ride. And I said this a million times that it's a blessing and a curse. I don't want to like sound cocky and say I've got charisma, I've got something. But whatever it is that I do have, I've always attracted people. I've always stood out in the crowd. They call me a peacock at times because I'm very colorful, and I always have the right thing to say at the right time. And I'm always the first one to stick his hand out. Hey, how you doing? Or I'd see somebody be like, hey, I saw you were doing this and that. And I just involve myself. So I met a lot of famous people. Thank God. I don't know what told me to carry a camera, but I started preserving these moments, on film.
Yeah.
And it's easier today because you have an iPhone, you can just snap away. But back then to carry a bulky little camera, and they had those like 110s, if you remember the long cylindrical things.
Yeah.
So I was taking a lot of pictures, and it just started from there around 14, 15. I was meeting known guys like in the neighborhood. Um, first bit of work I did was to go and, run numbers. And then my other bit of work was, just doing things for the guys, the wise guys, here and there. Like if I'd come by a cafe and park my bike, they'd be like, hey kid, go do this, get us that, or hey, go deliver this, here's a 50 spot or 100. And from there, um, I met my first like influential person, which was uh, in my life, which was this guy Yovo. My mom worked for him. He was that's the father I should have had. That's like the older brother I should have had in my life to push me in the right direction. But he was kind of like old school European off the boat. So there's always some criminality to all of us. It's the deal. It's not a like a straight laced 9 to 5. There's always this fell off a truck, or if you could skim something, and that's the way he was. And I was influenced at that time. I was like 16, and he took me to a place called the Adriatic in the city in Manhattan, and well-known Serbian hangout for mobsters, Croatian mobsters, Montenegrin mobsters, so on. And I was introduced to Bosko Radoncic. Bosko Radoncic was head of the Westies. He was the only non-Irishman to ever be in control of the Irish mob. Yeah. And he used to work with Jimmy Coonan and Mikey Featherstone and all of that. And he came off the boat. He was a whack job. He was anti-communist, and the country was communist at the time in Yugoslavia. And he tried to bomb social clubs. And he also got permission from the CIA. If anybody wants to look this up, they can Wikipedia it or just look it up. Bosko Radoncic tried to blow up 2 social clubs with
In the U.S.
Maya, huh? In
In
the
the
U.S.,
U.S.
yeah, in Chicago, yeah, they went to Chicago and they blew one spot up, and he did time for that, but he was supposed to get like 15 or 20 years. He only got like I think 3 to 5 because he was working for the CIA, man. That's what all these freedom fighters were doing back then. They were working with the CIA. So he started doing parking garages. I don't know how he muscled in and did that, but he owned a few lots in the city. And So I would, in my spare time, now that I know and the guy at the door knows me in Dubrovnik, I would go there as much as possible. I would boost the car, go to the city, park it somewhere, and I would just go in there just to hobnob with these guys, just to rub elbows.
Yeah.
And I would, whatever I had in my pocket, I'd pull out and send them drinks. I didn't care. I would just like send that table, send that table. So one day Bosco introduces me to Vojislav Stanimirovic, which was, I didn't know at that time, but he was the head of the American Pink Panthers. So, you meet this guy, and of course, like after you meet him and you walk away, you hear, oh, you know who he is? He's a Pink Panther, this and that. And I'm just like, wow, like to me, that's royalty. So now I know Bosco, he's connected. He's connected with the Gambinos as well. So it's like, dude, this is crazy. 16 years old, and I'm like two like top dogs. And it went from there. I just would keep meeting people in that Serbian community, gangsters, or wannabe gangsters or up and coming. And at the same time, in the neighborhood, I was making my bones. So reputation went around through the Serbian community. Pedge is crazy. Pedge is this. Pedge is doing this. Pedge is doing that. It's like my mom couldn't go to the butcher shop without hearing stories. She'd get to the butcher shop, give me a pound of this, give me a pound of that. And they wouldn't know it's my mother. They'd be like, that crazy guy Pedge stole 2 cars and was shooting at these guys and isn't it? And my mom's like, excuse me? Because there was only one Pedge in that time in the neighborhood, just one. And, then another guy, Pedge, moved in the neighborhood. So our names had to start. That's where I got the tattoo name. I was the first one to have tattoos at like 16. I had like 4 or 5 of them all over me, And
Yeah.
so they started calling me Pedge Tattoos. And then he had a GTO. So they would call him Pedge Goat. So it would be like my mom would know that. My mom's like, Pedge Goat or Pedge Tattoos, And well, why are you asking, ma'am? And then the guy's like, shut up, that's his mother. Like,
Oh
so
man.
yeah, my mom came home one night, not to get off topic, but she came home one night and she just asked me, were you here and there? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, did you pull out a gun and start shooting the bar up? And I'm like, who told you? Because I'm going to kill this guy. Like, like, why would he come and rat me out like that? But it wasn't. He was talking to his wife. His wife talked to my mom's friend. And, when you're doing that kind of crap, yeah, they like to crap on you and be like, he's a bad apple. So they wanted to like rub it in my mom's like, salt in the wound, like, yeah, your son's a bad apple, It's
Yeah.
not something you want to do in that community. But I was a badass. I was already going in the wrong
It
direction.
like puts shame on the family and stuff,
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is what it is. It's just I had all these uncles and aunts that were like straight A+ students, and once I went into school and they found out who my relatives were, they're like, "Oh, well, we expect more of you," and I'm just like, "F you!" Like school's not for me. I could be like slinging weed on the corner, which I was. I was just like didn't even go in like mid 8th grade. I was outside on the corner just selling weed. Like it's making more money. You make $200. $200 back then times by 5, it's 1,000 a week. What other like 13, 14-year-old,
You're making
bringing
more
in?
than grown men that work
Yeah,
in a
for real, for real.
factory or something.
Yo, for real. Like my parents were working hardcore double shifts and like they weren't bringing home $800 a week. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So, but yeah, I did little pieces of work here and there.
What's
For
one of the major pieces of work that you put in that stand out in your mind?
that stands out in my mind. Well, I mean, I was known at the time for boosting cars. Initially I started. I was slinging coke and a robbery gone bad. But I heard later on it was a message. I was dealing on some territory they didn't want me to deal, and I got shot. Um,
You want to walk me through that situation when you got shot?
yeah, it was. I was in Farmers Over Park in Queens, and that was my spot. Like, so I would be dealing coke there, and I knew not to carry more than 10 bags on me, and I had a little stash because at that time, anything over 10 is possession with intent to sell. Anything under 10. So I would have like up to whatever 8 to 10 bags on me, and I'd have a little stash. So I was doing my nightly thing Friday night, and I don't know about 12:30. I have my friend sitting there in the bleachers drinking a 40, and this guy pulls up at the car and he's like, "Hey, come here." So I come over there. The one guy gets out. By the time I couldn't tell what was going on. The guy's telling me, "Yeah, let me get 5." So I'm going like this. This guy comes out. He goes, "You don't deal here." Just, dude, right in the leg, man. So I kind of like, didn't know what was going on. Everything was like slow motion. The voice, it's like you see in the movies. It's like, you don't, and then like, boom, and then it speeds up on you. And then all
Yeah.
these smells come to you that like
Gunpowder, right? All,
yeah, gunpowder, adrenaline, sweat, the crap in your underwear, everything, bang, right at once. And I just felt like it felt like a bee sting, but my leg was just burning. It was bad. It was just, it was insane. So they shot me with a 25. I don't know if he meant to shoot me in the leg as a warning, because the 25 is really bad at close range because it's like a pinball machine. They shot me above my knee, but it went all the way up into my fucking thigh. So I had to go to the police station like after that, after, going to the hospital. They were like, you got to look through mug photos because I had a lie. What am I going to say? I was dealing, like I was just like, nah, it was just whatever. I got shot, I got robbed, I got mugged. So I had to even lie and say it looked like this and like that. And he had a scar and, all this kind of, my stories weren't staying straight. They started seeing that after a few times. And I was just like, look, you ain't going to find them. And so, but yeah, that's how that went down. And
so after that happens, are you nervous to go out in the neighborhood?
no, that just made me
And
get a gun. That just made me get
do,
a gun, and I
do
went
you
straight to this guy.
recognize them, their voice? Did you
Well, I've
recognize
never
them?
seen them before, but I find out that they come from Howard Beach. So I went to Ralphie Schuler, who's now deceased, and he was like a big player in the Colombos, and he was working in the pizzeria, but slinging, stuff out of the pizzeria. So he was supplying people. So I went to go see him, and I said, "Hey, you heard?" He goes, "Yeah, you good? I make good on that." I'm like, "No, I need to find out who it was because I ain't letting this go, man. You know what I mean?" And I still got the 25 slug. I still have it. Like I kept that forever. For a while, I was like, no shit. I would have it on a little chain. I'd made a hole in it. I would carry it like, yeah, like big man,
Yeah.
dude, like, eh, when you're young and you're dumb, you look at the wrong things to like, boast about. But so Ralphie told me he found out who it was. He wanted to take care of it. I was like, no, I'm going to take care of it. So then I started going into Ozone Park and Howard Beach and starting to click with these people, but playing stupid like I don't know. And I met Crazy Philly Boy from the Liberty Park Posse. I think they call it Liberty Park Boys. And I met Chris Cognati. He was like a real little kid at that time, like 10, 11 years old, but he was trying to hang around with the 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. And Ronnie One Arm, this guy Pudgy. Those were the guys who were closer to my age. So I'd go to the cafes, and they kind of heard what happened, and they kind of told me, "This is the guy you're looking for," and whatever. So, I just don't talk about that anymore, but I took care of what I had to take care of. I did what I had
Yeah.
to do. And I got a bigger reputation, not to mess with me. And I started boosting cars full time where I started making money. Like not just one car, two cars. I had guys that wanted to tag cars. I boost it, I bring it to them. So I was making like 5 to 7 G's a car, and I
So
wouldn't do it like,
you would have like certain types that they would need. You would go
yeah,
get
what
it,
they
would
would
bring
do
them to
is
them.
this. They would tell me I need a Mercedes 560 SEL. And I'd be like, what color? They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, what color? They're like, black. What color interior? They're like, dove gray. I'm like, all right. And I would go drive around like an expensive neighborhood, like in Long Island, and just drive around. When I'd spot it, I'd see like, well, let me set the alarm off, see how long it takes the owner to get out and this and that. And I had the Spanish guy with me from Bushwick. He taught me all the ropes on how to really get into these expensive cars. Like, it was a coupe with just two doors. You like bend the window, stick your hand in, open it so you don't break the glass or anything. Because I was stealing cars. I was center punching in the corner. Psh, the window would crack. I'd open it, the alarm start ringing. I'd go underneath, pull out the wiring, boom, slapjack the freaking, the thing out, stick it in, bomb, start the car, take off. You do all that damage or crack. You'd have to crack the steering column. This way was better. This guy knew alarms. Like he'd tell me which wire to pull from where, what to do, where the delay was, and like we'd pop the hood open. He'd get in there, and he'd unplug it, get in, pop, pop, pop. 35 seconds tops, and he'd take off. So he taught me, and I started doing that. Um, And then we got a little crew together, and it was about a year, and we got big time, like for real. Like we made the newspapers. So that to me was like done. Like, I had a few incidences, like I said on other shows, where I had a run in with John Jr., where his guys weren't delivering the cars. The feds were watching them or something. And then I don't know how he reached out to one of the guys in my crew, but my guy went behind my back and made a deal with him. I didn't want to do this deal. We ended up going to get paid. He wants to give us like 35 a car. I'm like, hell's no. I go, I'm charging 55 a car and I'm giving you a discount. You taking 10, 55. No. And it was like, oh, you're going to go see my dad. I'm like, fuck you. I don't care that you're John Gotti Jr. and your dad is a senior. I don't give a shit.
He wasn't the boss or anything yet, right?
He was at that time. He was, he was the boss at that time. He just became boss. Yeah, it was right after this, 2 years after the Sparks thing, where they shot Castellano and he took over.
So around
So
87.
his dad was somebody. This was more 89, 90. So he was already established, because they all went down around 92, 93, 94 tops, I think. It started all collapsing
92.
on them.
I think 92.
Yeah. So it was definitely at that time, because I don't remember boosting cars after 93. Like I didn't even dabble in it. Like I just.
So what's the first time you meet John Gotti Jr.?
It was that time. It was that time. We went to go get our money, and we were going to tell him where the location of the cars were. And I'm like, he kept saying John Jr., John Jr. I didn't know who the hell it was until I got there. And I was like, what? This is the deal. And he goes, no, your guy, made a deal for it. So my guy made a deal with you, not with me. I said, those are my cars. You ain't getting my cars. He goes, you're going to see my dad. And I was like, whatever. I walked away. He got really pissed that I walked. Like, I didn't show no respect, which I really don't care. He could have shot me. He could have did whatever he had to do. I could have got a beating that day or worse. But I went straight to Bosco. I went straight to the city. I went to this Irish pub, walked in. I was like, hey, Bosco, I need to talk to you. He's like, what's up? I said, I got a beef with John Jr. He goes, that schmuck? It's like, yeah. Because John Jr. at that time, he thought because his dad, who he was, he had God by the balls,
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I don't care. He goes, what happened? I told him what happened. He goes, I'm going to call Senior. I'm going to set a meeting. We're going to have a sit down. I said, I'm telling you right now, I'm going in a sit down. Anybody gives me lip, I'm going to do what I got to do. Like, I'm going to disrespect everybody. He was just like, relax. And sure enough, the day comes, like 2 days later, we go to the Bergen Hunt Club, boom, boom, walk in, about 6 guys in there. He's sitting down. He didn't get up. Like, he just said, yeah, you're the guy giving me trouble. First words out of his mouth, you the guy giving me trouble? Said, sorry, but I don't even know who you are. I never give you trouble. Look at him. He's a wise ass. He doesn't know who I am. Of course, Junior's sitting there. I was like, him, I know. I go, he's trying to screw me. And I started saying, and the boss was like, shut up. I'm going to do this. So he explains the situation. But Senior is just literally looking at me like, the one eyebrow. It was no good. And make a long story short, he says this, and he goes, no. He goes, well, what will you settle for? Now I'm getting angry at my guy because I'm like, I came in here for you to like fix this. Now what am I going to settle for? And I told him I ain't going to go anything under like whatever 4,600. I was like, once and done deal. And then he turns around, he goes 38. I mean, it was like haggling, like it was just like a bunch of Hasids in the leather district where you're trying to get a leather coat, and it's like they're like, come on, my friend, I'll give you a better price, my friend. So finally, he's just like, look, 4,600. He wants at least $5,000. He's like, no. He goes, all right, 4,600. And then from then on, and I got up and said, there ain't gonna be a next time.